there. You're listening to the Girl Talk podcast. My name is Carol.
Hey, I'm Tricia.
And I'm Kelly.
And we're talking expectations again today. The third conversation, kind of in a series, kind of an unintentional series, but we're talking expectations. We started with God. We moved to our expectations of others. And now we're going to talk about our expectations that we put on ourselves. This is going to be a hard conversation because I honestly, just upfront, 100%, I struggle with the expectations I put on myself every single day. Okay. So don't think that you've tuned in today to hear a bunch of experts about what they think and how they got better, because I'm probably the worst of all. So I just want to lay that out there first thing, because what we expect from ourselves is often unrealistic. And I never thought of myself as a perfectionist. A friend of mine said to me, "You're a perfectionist." And I was like, "Have you seen my house? Have you ridden in my car? I am clearly not a perfectionist." She said, "No, you're a perfectionist in that if things don't go exactly the way that you think they should, then you kind of beat yourself up for it." And I was like, "Is that what perfectionist is?" But she kind of stepped on my toes because it was true. You know, I don't have the spotless house. I don't have a spotless car, but in life, if things don't go exactly like I want them to, then I tend to pitch a little hissy fit. I'm a good fit pitcher, by the way. And I pitch a little fit because it didn't go my way. And so I do place unrealistic expectations on myself. Anybody else?
Absolutely. But I love what you said because it's true. Being a perfectionist isn't necessarily a neat freak. And it's not necessarily the most successful person in a job. Being a perfectionist is, I think, all about how you beat yourself up for what you perceive as your failings.
Yeah.
And if you look at my cubicle, it's a total disaster, but I am a perfectionist in certain ways. And I just feel like a failure so much of the time because I'm not meeting what I perceive as what I need to meet.
And I don't know if this is true. Tricia, you can confirm or deny this, but I think because and Kelly, you're artistic too. So I throw this out there. I am very, perfectionistic when it comes to my art. And when I say my art, what we do on the air, if we do a break and it really doesn't go anywhere, or we had such grand expectations for it and it just kind of falls flat, or nobody responds to it.
Yeah.
We tend to go that performance mentality kicks in and we're like, "Oh, people don't like me," and we're in the wrong profession because we get ratings ever so often, and people's taste change. They like us and don't like us in the same day. So
that's right. Performers are bad for that because we take our view of success based on how someone tells us we did.
Right.
It's very much external perception of success, and it can be very painful. Doing a show and I feel like I didn't say the right thing, or I didn't say it right, or it didn't come out right, makes me just so mad. I just can't stand it. And but then again, I did the best I could, but then I beat myself up and I start to go down that rabbit trail of, "Oh, you can't do anything right. Look how bad you did at this." And that's just like when you did bad at the other thing, and you're a bad parent, and look at you, your shoes don't match. Just it goes down and down and down and down and down. And it's that perfectionist tendency that clicks off that rabbit trail, I think.
Well, and I think if we've learned anything over the last year, with the crazy crisis we've gone through, is that we can't be perfect at all things. And we have tried really hard. I have tried really hard to be the most perfect mom, to be the perfect homeschool parent, to be the perfect employee, to be the perfect neighbor, to be the perfect friend, to be the perfect daughter. And it has been waves of failure that I have felt in my life over the last year, that I can't do it all, and I can't do it all well. And so then I start thinking I can't do any of it well at all. And I know I'm not alone. I know you girls have felt that way. Lots of women I've talked to in my life have felt that way. A lot of you listen to the podcast, I'm sure, have felt the same way. We felt like failures because we thought we could do it all and we can't.
Yes, I think it comes down to how you define yourself. Like if I define myself as a performer, or I define myself as a mom, or I define myself as someone who's healthy, but then things don't go the way I think they're going to, or a homeschool mom, or any of the pandemic. If I define myself by the way I used my time during the pandemic and I didn't finish that porch that I was working on, or I didn't redo the kitchen like I wanted to, and I didn't even clean the sheets, I just start to, it's how I define myself by did I or did I not meet the mark?
Yeah, and then we set these marks that are way too high for ourselves. Like you said earlier, Carol, unrealistic expectations. And it's not other people setting them for us. We set them for ourselves more often than anybody else is going to set them for us.
Or so we think. I don't know. Do people expect? It's a good question. It's an interesting question. It plays with your mind. What do people expect?
Yeah, I don't think people don't think about me as much as I think people think about me. That old adage of nobody thinks about you as much as you think about you. But I want to get to this question. Why do you think we set unrealistic expectations? Like, I think social media is the world's worst place for this, because you see Anne Marie's homemade apple pie with the scoop of vanilla bean ice cream on it that she served her family last night, and you think, my kid had a frozen lasagna, the personal size, because I didn't even want to fix the whole thing, and then you look and you see then you see Jane's family out by the creek skipping stones and spending reflective time thinking
doing
about
their vegetable garden. And it's the vegetable garden.
And having harvest free range eggs every morning are so good with no broken yolks. It just goes down. For me, nobody even has to post stuff like that. I even do it in my head. I am that weird person that writes I was thinking about this. I had to go to the doctor the other day, and I so miss being in the waiting room at the doctor, because here's what I used to do. I used to flip through the magazines, not for any other reason than to see what page was taken out, if it was like a recipe, or if it was, 9 ways to improve your love life or whatever. And I write a story in my mind about the person that ripped that out and how it played out. And they're like, I do that.
That's hilarious. I'm somebody who takes out the recipes if they're easy. I'll just let you know.
I have written a story about you in my mind. Who does that? Funny. I'm the weirdest person that ever breathes breath, I think. But those are the kind of things so nobody even has to post the picture. I already do it in my mind because I've been kind of trained to do that. I've been trained to see a photograph and to think, that is perfect. That is their life. Mine is not. Compare the two. I am less than. I should be doing this and not doing this, and I should be doing more of this, and we just get to these crazy times where I'm exhausted talking about it.
Yeah. And we can't do that.
That's true.
And we begin to think we can do it. And then we go to social media and we see a woman who does seem to have it all together because she's posted all the great stuff and none of the yucky stuff. And we start to do that self-comparison, like you talked about, Carol. It's not healthy.
Cuts a mango into a giraffe shape for her kid's lunch. Who does that?
It's in a pretty bento box with handmade sushi.
Yeah. Oh.
But she's failing at something else. And that's the other thing we need to remember, is that none of us are perfect. None of us have it all together. That the person who has shown that great giraffe-shaped mango picture on Facebook, there is something else in her life that is not going the way she wants it to. And she needs grace, and we need to give ourselves grace for that also.
I think a lot of it comes down to our insecurities. Like, what is the area that we're insecure about? And a lot of times, at least for me, if I'm insecure about a certain area, then I'm going to try to achieve something in that area so I can overcome the insecurity. But most of the time, I can't, because that's an unfillable hole. So it just makes me feel worse about whatever that area is in my life.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely, it does. And I think that's part of the performer in us too, is that we try to, if you're not particularly good at something, you want to shine the spotlight on something you are good at, so nobody sees that other part. You keep that backstage, or off stage. You don't want people to see the broken parts of you. And I'll tell you, when I got honest about my brokenness was the time of greatest ministry. And it is amazing to me. Even this weekend, I had two gals who are going through really tough time in their relationship who reached out to me and said, because you were so honest during your struggle and because you've grown so much, I wanted to get your perspective on this, which I truly appreciate. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't think you really want my perspective because I'm just as broken as anybody. And I think the whole point of it is we place unrealistic expectations on ourselves because of control. Is that wrong?
I think it is control, and I think it's an insecurity in trying to control that insecurity. So yes, I mean, I think you're right. It's control. We're trying to control what people think about us. We're trying to control what we think about ourselves.
I read this quote, maybe y'all I don't even know if it was in this book, but basically it said, I was worried the other day about what people thought of me, and come to find out I'm much worse. And some great theologian said that. So they don't think badly enough of me, that kind of thing. And I was thinking about that as we were getting ready for this this podcast, because people see what they want to see in us, good or bad. If they want to see good in us, but it's so like us as women to compare to. I wish we could get away from that. I don't know what that is about our brains that makes it feel like everything's a contest.
Sin.
But, well, that's true.
Sin.
Yeah.
It's the,
pride.
Yep.
Is it, I mean, that could in fact be like wanting to lift ourselves up
or put someone else down,
for the same purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
Not intentionally, but almost saying, well, I'm not as bad as she is. So
that's why I've watched Wife Swap forever. I told you. It's terrible. I know. It's no good. I don't do it anymore, at least this week. No. Well, what do we do about this? How do we, I mean, I've heard a couple of cool things. I'm not saying this is the end all be all cure of it, but I've heard embrace your imperfections. Do something you're not good at and have fun with it. Just, hey, so you can't play golf very well, but you can have fun in that cart and you can goof around and do something. It's okay if you're not being perfect at something. That's how you have fun. Yeah. So I've heard that's one approach. And maybe if you're able to embrace not being perfect in something, that can translate more into letting yourself off the hook in other ways as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think it comes back to humility. We've hit at pride, we've hit at control.
Yeah.
But it comes back to humility, and the times when we're honest is the times I think that we can truly help and benefit one another, and be honest about our weaknesses. I mean, most people who just know me, don't know me deeply, but just know me casually would say, you're not insecure. And I'd be like, yeah, but you don't know me, because you girls know that there are times we, get in front of the camera and like every insecurity I have comes out to play, or, we, have pictures taken or something. I hate to have my picture taken, and all my insecurities come out to play. And so I think it comes with depth of relationship, but I also think that the humility that comes from saying, you're right, I'm not a model. And you know what? I'm okay with that, because I don't want to be a model, I don't want to be a movie star. I originally, and let me just let the record show this, that I got into radio because there were no pictures. You just had to use your imagination. And I look a lot better in your imagination than I do on camera.
That's not true.
But, I mean, there are those things that we have to, but since you said that, I think there's a real cathartic process that happens when you say, I'm okay with my imperfections and my insecurities, because that's a greater place for me to discover who God is, and how much he loves me, and how much it's not about that,
what I'm just thinking, it always comes back to, we need to rely on God.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Whatever the issue is, it's a heart issue almost every time. And it comes back to where we are in standing with God.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't have thought that would have been the takeaway from this, but that's what I'm taking away.
Yeah. That those expectations are not really an expectation issue. They're a heart issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. In talking about it, I think, are we, are we doing the age old Adam and Eve thing where we want to be like God? We want to be perfect. We want to be the master of our universes, and we want everybody to play our little game, like we have it laid out.
Yep. I know for me, the thing I struggle with the most is thinking I can accomplish everything that I set my mind to. And I learned a prayer a few years ago that I try to remind myself of often. And the prayer goes like this: Lord, increase what's mine to do and decrease what's not mine to do.
Ooh, say that again. Say that again.
Lord, increase what's mine to do and decrease what is not mine to do. So God, only give me those things that you've called me to do, and only those things that you want me to do. And those things that I'm trying to do because I think I'm God, because I think I can be all things to all people, because I think I'm more awesome than I am. Decrease those things, take those things out of my life and remove them so that I'm not distracted by the things that you've not called me to do, the things you've not called me to be. Just take them out of my life. And it's a great prayer.
That is a great
good
prayer.
Yeah.
And I think the last year has removed a lot of things from our schedules, but put a lot of things on our shoulders.
Oh yeah.
As I was thinking about it, you were talking about, being a homeschool mom, and everybody's been homeschooled to some degree over the last year, and trying to manage that in a full-time job, and trying to navigate parenting, and trying to navigate relationships with being in isolation, all that thing. And I think it did take a lot off our plates, but it put a lot on our shoulders, or at least I felt that. And realizing that it's not up to us, the world is going to continue to spin. I go back to one of the things I heard. I think Andy Stanley said this in one of his leadership books. He said, "Don't cheat where you're unique." And what he meant by that was, if you're one of 28 employees who do the same job as you, don't kill yourself at your job because you're not unique there. But your kids only have one mom. You're unique there. So don't cheat your kids. Give them everything you got. And so often I live the other way around. There are a lot of other people who could do what I do. Doesn't mean I shouldn't do it to the best of my ability and with all my heart, but don't cheat where I'm unique. I'm the only mom that Ella's going to ever have. And so that needs to be my priority, and I think that works in leadership and in this discussion too, where we put expectations on ourselves, where we need to really be mindful of those places where we are it, and the expectations need to be first there, but they don't need to be unrealistic. Like your prayer said, increase the things that are mine to do and decrease the things that are not mine to do, and two, I think we tend to be doers as women. And so we looked at everything as a to-do list to check off and to tick off. And the expectation, like you said, Kelly, was to complete your whole list before the day is done. It's okay if you don't get everything marked off. In fact, I'll just be so honest as to tell you, I've come to the end of the day and not checked everything off. So I put things on the list that were never on the list so I could mark them off.
Oh, truth. Yeah.
We all do that. That's great. I love to check that box.
Yeah. Well, and that's
get up, check.
Our world has a production mentality. We place value in what people can produce, not in who they are as people. And that's where we as Christians can really be different and holy and set apart. If we can really look at people not at what they can produce or what they can do or how good they are for us. But if we can look at each other for who God made them to be and how wonderful they are.
And how about we do that for us too?
Right. Yes. Oh,
Yes. Because
that's good, Tricia. Say that again.
Well, how about if we do that for us too? Give ourselves that, not looking so much at what we do, but look at who God made us to be in relationship with him and as his child and all of those great.
Y'all remember way back at the first of this season, we talked about who am I becoming, right?
yes.
Yeah.
And that has been an overarching theme in my life, with my time with God. It's like, who are you becoming? And I think over the last year, especially, I've been reminded that I want to be a better employee. I want to be a better podcaster. I want to be all these things, but really God's more concerned about who I'm becoming. And I think that if we look at that before we look at our expectations of ourselves, then our priorities will change as to what we spend our time on, what we allow to come back on the calendar. Because all my unrealistic expectation tends to have to do with tasks. You know?
Yeah. Concrete tasks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But who I'm becoming is, through all of that, the most important thing.
Our character.
Our character.
And we talked about that before. God's not interested in our comfort. He's interested in our character.
Absolutely. So if we set unrealistic expectations of ourselves, that's a hard issue. We need to give ourselves grace. We need to focus on who God is and who we're becoming in the process instead of how much we can produce. Man, this is stepping all over my toes today.
Embrace the imperfections today.
Embrace the imperfections. Yep. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Anything else you want to add, Kelly?
Nope.
All right. I guess that's going to do it for now. We'd love to hear your thoughts. You're always welcome to email us at girltalk@thelightfm.org. Join the Facebook page. I know I've said this before, and I know you probably don't believe me. One of the days I'm going to video our happy dance that we do when we get emails, because we are so thrilled to hear from you. So use that email address, girltalk@thelightfm.org. We would love to hear from you, your thoughts, got ideas about any of the subjects that we cover, or if there's stuff you want us to talk about. We'll try to honor those requests as best we can within the format that we have here. And we just love hearing from you. We love you being a part of this community. We love you, and we want to see you live the abundant life that God has promised for all of us who love him. And that's why we're here. We're interested in who you are becoming. And we hope you're just a little bit better for listening to this podcast. We'll see you next time we gather around these microphones for the Girl Talk podcast. We love you.